Hi, this is Bob Wells here, and welcome to Undercurrent Stories. This is the show where we hear about people's interests and uncover some fascinating stories at the same time. I hope you enjoy today's show. In today's show, I'm delighted to be joined by Gary Moat. In the 1980s, Gary was best known as the drummer in the famous rock band Heavy Pettin, who toured alongside bands such as Kiss, Ozzy Osbourne, Magnum, and many, many more. Today, Gary is the lead singer, frontman, and musical creator for the rock band Burnt Out Wreck. Hello and welcome to the show, Gary.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, nice, fairly bright winter's day.
'Tis a bit chilly, yes.
Although I can see some snowdrops coming through, which is nice.
Yeah, I got them in the garden, yeah, definitely.
You're based in England, Gary. Whereabouts in England are you based?
Northamptonshire.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're not a million miles away from me in Stamford, South Lincolnshire.
Yeah.
It's great to have you on. So before we talk about your musical career, could you please tell us a bit about your journey and how you came into the music industry, please?
Well, probably when I was about between 9, 10 years of age, start bashing pots and pans in the kitchen like most drummers do. And that led me into the drumming world, you know, watching all the British pop bands of the time, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know, T-Rex, Sweet, Mud, things like that, you know.
All the glam rock days of 72, 73, I remember it well.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you know, it's funny, I was in the boys' brigade at the time, you know, because that's the way that you're raised, isn't it, you know? And they gave me this big snare drum, so I used to use it as a floor tom because my parents bought me this old Woolworths drum kit. There was only 3 drums on it, and I totally destroyed it within about 2 months, you know. It was proper wood and stuff. It wasn't a plastic thing, but it's just that. So I got into that, and then that was what done it, really, you know, is the drumming. And then after that, going into secondary school, I got a proper full Premier kit. Yeah, that was it. I was drumming all the way up until I was, I don't know, about 28, 29 years of age, something like that. And then, obviously, as well as drumming, I was writing songs as well, co-writing songs. And, yeah, I just decided that might as well sing it, seeing as I was writing the songs, saves finding someone else to do it, you know.
So you haven't always sung. You've played the drums. You got into singing later, did you?
Yeah, I was the drummer in Heavy Pettin, as you say. And, but, you know, we all co-wrote songs and stuff together. And, yeah, so done that. But because I sing in the register that I sing in, it's quite hard to find people that do that, you know. And most of them are just grunting, you know. So a real man's voice.
Yeah. Well, I must admit, I've been doing a bit of listening to your new stuff, and you know the last 3 albums that you've done, and there's a definite sort of, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, there's definite AC/DC voice feel to it.
Yeah. I mean, you might as well join in with everybody else.
So it's no big new revelation then?
No, not at all. No, of course not. You know, of course not. AC/DC were the band, you know, back in the day when I was about 15, 16. And, yeah, they just blew my mind at the time. You know, I remember seeing them when they first came over to the UK and they played up in Glasgow in the Glasgow City Town Hall, I think it was the Town Hall, and just wrecked the joint, you know. Everybody went mental, you know, and it was just a fantastic gig, fantastic memory, you know. Geez, but never mind.
Yeah. Well, before we talk about the latest project and everything, I'd be very keen just for listeners that might have sort of heard or certainly been into Heavy Pettin in the 80s, if you don't mind just talking about it a little bit. How did it feel when, I mean, you know, they were part of, I guess, what was known as the new wave of British heavy metal, weren't they?
Well, we sort of came just slightly after that, really.
Okay.
You know, I see a lot of people say, put Heavy Pettin into that category, but we weren't really, you know. I know that we were writing songs during that period, and we were a band at that time, but I don't think we had quite become Heavy Pettin then. I think we were just just a few months away from that. So the new wave of British heavy metal really is people like Iron Maiden and Def Leppard and things like that. It's a tricky one.
Yeah. You were just a rock band.
Yeah.
Say just a rock. You were a rock band.
Just a little Scottish rock band.
Yeah. So how did it feel? I mean, there was quite some success there, and how did it feel in the 1980s when you were part of a professional band, go around the world, and mixing with all these other musicians? How did it feel?
It was, it was just amazing. Obviously, we were only 22, I think, 22, wow. 23 years of age.
Yeah.
And, we were still kids, really,
Yeah.
And we got through right in there because we got signed to Polydor. They threw money at the band, not at us. We didn't get the money. The band got the money, so it just the money went into making the band bigger and recording and touring costs.
Yes.
And so we did do well, but you have to sell records to become rich in this game. But Brian May from Queen produced our first album.
That was the Letting Loose album.
The Letting Loose album. Yeah. And so that was a nerve-wracking time in itself. Brian May's interested in you. Okay, let's go to this rehearsal studio. In walks Brian, and we're all like, oh my God.
Wow.
What do you do with that? It's like, we've got all these albums, we've seen them, and just loved the Queen at the time, obviously, and still.
And how did having Brian produce the album affect the sound, or influence the sound?
Yeah, he definitely showed us. Brian was all about vocals, really, and harmonies, obviously, because, as
big part of Queen.
Queen are harmony crazy, and so he was the best man for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
At the time, and he did show us a lot, and we have kept it with us forever. Or even on my new album there, if you listen to that, the harmonies that's in that, I've got so many. It's just I can't go near a chorus, but it's got to be huge, because that's the way that it was installed into us at an early age,
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with it at all. That's rock and roll.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also noticed that you put something in to go on the Eurovision Song Contest.
Yeah, well, that came at the end of Heavy Pettin's career, really. Things were moving along. Musical taste was changing. The record company were looking for a commercial success to try and claw back any money that was owed by the band, obviously, and not just by Heavy Pettin, but in the 80s they were throwing money at every band, and there must be some dirt racked up in the world through that. But they said, okay, let's do you fancy doing Eurovision, put one of the songs out there, and obviously it goes out to millions, so the chances of it selling something and recouping some money was first and foremost in their mind.
Yes.
I expect, but basically it killed the band, really.
Oh, really? Oh, that's sad.
The heavy metal fraternity just said, no, get lost. And that was the end of that, as it were. Oh, yeah, we got slated big time for that. But still do. It's ridiculous. 40 years later.
Yeah.
No, 30 years later.
Well, I was really interested to read that John Lydon with Public Image put a nomination in for Ireland this year.
Yeah, I think I caught a bit of that listening to the radio in the car one day, but it was just a small clip, so I've not really heard it, so I can't comment on it.
No. Well, it didn't get through. It's a shame, but no problem. So after Heavy Pettin, there seems to be a bit of a gap between your music that you were playing around the country and everything, and your new band, Burnt Out Wreck. Wait, what happened in between?
Well, Burnt Out Wreck, in 96, 90, let's go round about 91, 92.
Yeah.
Myself and Gordon Bonner from Heavy Pettin. We lived in Milton Keynes, and we decided to form a new band, and we ended up calling it Mother's Ruin. So we wrote a bunch of songs, and throughout the 90s into up to, I don't know, maybe about 2000, the mid 2000s. We played gigs here and there around the country, and nothing great happened from it, but we had families and day jobs and sort of juggling everything as needs to happen.
Yeah.
And so we never pursued it very much. So
what was the name of the band at the time?
Mother's Ruin.
Mother's Ruin. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that took up most of all that period, and then I think it was about 2013 maybe, I thought I'm going to start Mother's Ruin back up again, because it had been away for a good 4 years, 5 years. And I got the guys back together, and we done a couple of years of that, and then we had some young guys, he went to uni, and others just fell apart and just went their own ways,
Yeah.
Just the same story for every band in the world, really.
Yes. Yeah.
And so after that, we got to 2016, and I thought, I'm going to go in and record some of these songs that were from that period, because otherwise they're never going to get heard, as it were, So quite a few of the songs, half of the songs on Swallow, Burnt Out Rick's first album, were from that time,
Yeah.
And then I just wrote some new songs, and then there we have it. That was the first album, so that came out in 2017, and it's been great ever since, really,
So the latest album, Stand and Fight, came out last year.
Yeah, mid-December last year, so it's not really been out very long, really.
Yeah. No, I was listening to it on Spotify after we'd reached out and spoken to you for an interview.
Okay, yeah.
And it's a great album, and carries on, I guess, from the second and the first.
Yeah, I mean, the second album, This Is Hell, was a real bunch of songs that just all sat together and hard hitting, and it just sounded different to the first album in some way, And then I thought, well, how am I going to actually, people are asking for a third album. I'm thinking, how am I going to better This Is Hell? Because in my head, I couldn't get over that. There was a hurdle there, And gradually, during the awful time of lockdown, obviously, then I got all these songs started coming through out of me, and and ended up with the 11 tracks that's on there. I ended up with about 16 tracks, but whittled it down to a bit.
Yeah. So I guess lockdown was tough in terms of not being able to tour, but quite productive in terms of writing songs.
For myself, yeah, because I write all my own tunes and all the music and all the lyrics. The only thing I don't do is I can't play lead guitar, So it's a shame.
Yeah, I did see a photo of you with a guitar.
Yeah. Oh, I can play rhythm, obviously, because I write the songs. No? So I can play rhythm guitar, no problem, But
are you still playing the drums at all? I know you're obviously the lead singer now, but do you still, want to play the drums?
The past 2 years, last summer and the year before, I had both my hips replaced, so one after the other.
Oh, okay.
And so playing drums has just not. I couldn't even sit on a drum stool because it was just desperate. For 10 years, I've been like couldn't stand up, couldn't walk straight. Okay. It's been a hell of a carry on that, but so yeah. But I mean, I love drums, obviously, so funny you say that, because 2 weeks ago I went up to Glasgow with some of the guys in the band, and Paul, our drummer, couldn't make it, so I went up there and I played the drums, and that's the first time I've sat behind a drum kit in all these years, since recording Swallow in 2016. So I played half the drums on that.
Oh, did you?
but that was okay. I was still okay then, just
Yeah.
about painkillers wise. But yeah, so it was great. But that was 3 hours in a rehearsal room with the guys. So I'm playing the drums and trying to remember all the lyrics and everything, and then trying to remember, how did the drum go here? What does Paul do here? It's okay. It's okay standing at the front now, and just
Yeah.
singing away. But you think, what actually happens here, because I know they're trying to follow me, and I'm, and I'm like, oh, what if I fluff this up, So
Yeah. So listeners who haven't heard your music, and I'll put, if you don't mind, I'll put some links on the show so people can sort of link to your music, Gary. How
right.
would you describe your music, particularly the latest album?
We are just a classic rock stroke bluesy rock type of band.
Yeah.
Full of high energy rock and roll. It's like you said earlier, it's got touches of AC/DC, I suppose, and there's a little bit of influence from Judas Priest on this new album, and Bad Company, even, I would say.
Yeah.
From a couple of the songs, but yeah, overall, it's just me and my crazy mind coming at you.
Yeah. In terms of writing the songs, what's your process? Obviously, people have different ways to do it. Do you do the lyrics first? Does a melody come to you? How does it work?
Yeah, in many ways, but my preferred way is just to pick up the guitar and have a blast, and see what I come up with, and what comes out of me. And I'll just pick up on something, and I'll just keep running with it until I have got a melody to go over the top of it, and then, hey presto, we're away. Sometimes it can take up to, I don't know, 2-3 years,
Really?
maybe even longer. But there's plenty of material in the pot as to that I can recall and start revamping, as it were.
You obviously write the lyrics. You come up with the tune itself. Do you sort of do all the arranging yourself, or is that in collaboration with the other musicians?
No, they come in. I do it all and send it to them, and maybe change a couple of little bits here and there, but nothing major, And then they come in, and because we go into a proper recording studio, we don't do it from home.
You don't do it remotely like lots do nowadays?
Nah, we just go into the studio and bash it out, bit by bit, and we just layer it, start with the drums, add the guitars, then backing vocals, and then leave the main vocal to the end, and the lead guitar. So do it that way, but and it's great to use the guys because they always bring something new that I haven't heard.
Yes,
in their delivery of it, So
of course.
Or else it just sounds like a robot because it's just me that's bashing it all out and playing the same thing as it were.
Yeah, I guess you need those outside influences just to help it add a bit of colour.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And so talking about contemporary music itself, what's your view on contemporary music? Not necessarily rock. What sort of music are you into and listening to at the moment, Gary?
Well, none really.
No.
I like all sorts of music, If I'm in the car and it's a long journey, like I said, going up to Glasgow there a couple of weeks ago, I had the radio on the whole time, just listening to the radio and all sorts of different things, trying to find a good signal, so floating through all the channels that you do, going up the motorway, and I'll listen to anything, because, but just... I first started going to the Glasgow Apollo when I was about 14 to see bands, like, what was it, £1 a ticket to go in to see.
I remember.
To go in to see people like 10cc and, even Elton John. I remember going to see Elton John when he had the Elton John band and, and all these people from that time. And we used to go there, it seemed like 2 or 3 times a week we were going there at that kind of age. Because as soon as we get into it, it was just so exciting, So, yeah, I like all sorts of music.
Well, we were talking before the show, Gary, weren't we, about sensational Alex Harvey band and Zal Clemenson. And
Yeah.
as I say, I think we probably were brought up in a similar area with similar era on the music. T-Rex,
Yeah.
Slade.
Yeah.
And I remember going, £3 a ticket to see Thin Lizzy and excellent stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen them many times. Thin Lizzy and just everybody just used to go all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. So we've talked about music. What do you do outside of music, Gary?
Outside of music, I am a slave to the grind with the wife's horses.
Oh, right.
Unfortunately.
I noticed you said that was a plural there, Gary. Horses.
Horses. Yeah, exactly. So
how many have you got?
Too many. Yeah, she's got 5 at the moment. Yeah,
5. Wow.
Yeah, unfortunately, one just died. He was 25, so they get on a bit as we all do, don't they? And sad, but there we go.
So your job is looking after them and riding, or
no riding. I'm afraid the riding days of horses are definitely gone. Gone. I did have a bad experience about 15 or so year ago, and I got my boot stuck in the stirrup, and he bucked me off, and then proceeded to dance all over the top of me, giving me bruises all around me, unmentionables. So it was just ridiculous. So I said, right, we're not getting back on another one of them then, but stick to cars and motorbikes, thanks very much.
Yeah. Well, I suppose animals are a big change, an animal like that, a big change from sort of playing rock and roll.
Yeah, well, we've also cats and dogs and horses, so there we go.
I mean, for any listeners that are sort of thinking about entering the music industry, not going to put an age on it at all, but what advice would you give them?
Just, keep writing new songs, keep recording. Don't let anybody take it away from you. Do it all yourself, and you might make some money from it.
Yeah. When you say don't let anybody take it away, you mean don't let them take the songs from you, or don't let them influence your sound? Yeah,
don't sign to people that will promise you the world, but they don't have the world to give you. And it's crazy. As you mentioned Spotify. There we are.
Yes. What is it? 0.0000001p for every listen or something?
Yes, we got a statement in from South America, and it was showing something like just under about 98,000 streams, and I think I got about £5, So, and you've got the people over there saying, when are you going to come and play in the USA? When are you going to come and play Brazil and Mexico, because, they had it all planned. This is what we should do. And we were like, where are we going to get the money for that? What? It's just, it's bonkers. People think that you're a megastar, well, there's the reality of it.
Are you selling the latest album on vinyl at all?
No, it's not on vinyl because it's just not worth it. Not worth it. I mean, goodness sakes, we've got it on CD. You can get it on CD, and you can get it, obviously online, Amazon, or straight from Cadiz, the distributors themselves.
Yeah.
So
well, I'll put all that in the show notes, Gary.
I know you said earlier, but that's so that's the best way, and we'll probably sell some at some of the gigs that we've got coming up. So.
That was going to be my next question. Actually, that was a good segue. What gigs? Where are you playing? And when?
Well, middle of March, we're up in Scotland. We've got a Friday and a Saturday coming up.
Yeah,
and we're playing in the Dreadnought in Bathgate, and we're playing at Bannerman's in Edinburgh. We've been up to Bannerman's quite a few times, and it's always a cracking gig, as you can imagine, in a dungeon in Edinburgh.
A dungeon?
Yeah, it's like it's like right down underneath the ground, and the roof's just like a big archway, of old stonework, in medieval Edinburgh. It's It's fantastic. It's very cold though.
Yes, I can imagine. But a great atmosphere, I'm sure. I'm sure everybody warms it up when they're in the mosh pit.
Well, yeah, it's great when they all start singing, and there it's fantastic. So, we've done that.
Have you got anything coming up in England?
We have got, we've got gigs, I think, just about every month. We're playing at we've been asked to play at the Cambridge Rock Festival.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's just come in a few weeks ago there.
Yeah.
And we're playing HRH later on in the year. I think that's in Yarmouth.
HRH?
Hard Rock Hell, it's called.
Hard Rock Hell. Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing to do with the King.
No, I did wonder.
He's a big Burnt Out Reg fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be marvellous, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
Yeah. But I can't remember the other gigs off the top of my head. I don't have a big list in front of me.
But they're all available on your website, I guess.
Yeah, they're on Facebook and stuff, and on the website, I should say. And we look forward to seeing everybody out there,
Yeah. Well, what other projects do you have coming up, Gary? New album?
New album? No, that. Oh,
you've only just brought one out.
We just brought it out. The one before that came out in November 2019. So you don't want to put them out every year. That's just crazy.
No.
In between everything else that's going on, go and get in there and write a song, Gary, quick.
just like the 1970s again.
That's right.
Work in progress.
Probably be next year.
Yeah.
Because there's so many songs and I've got to look at, and so many new songs that I would like to, if I could just get the time, like I say, to sit down and do it, but life pushes you onwards.
Gary, thanks ever so much for coming on. It's been a great discussion we've had, and I wish you all the very best.
Thanks very much for having me, and it's been very good. I've enjoyed it.
You have been listening to Undercurrent Stories. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please feel free to share the show link to your friends and family, and if you have 60 seconds, I would be most grateful if you would please rate and review. To hear more episodes, please subscribe to the show and visit undercurrentstories.com. If you leave your email in the link, we will notify you as soon as new episodes are released. Also, check out our social media links, details of which can be found on the show notes. Until next time, this is Bob Wells wishing you all the very best.